Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting into order. It's at 6 p.m. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Alonso,
Here.
Councilmember Romero,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo,
Here.
Councilmember Peralta,
Present.
Mayor Melendez.
And I am here. All right, we'll move on to the announcements of the closed session items.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Let me first inquire, do we have any comment cards for public closed session items? Thank you. At this time, we'd ask the city council to recess into closed session for items 1 through 5. It should be noted that the one item of anticipated litigation, item 2, it relates to a claim filed by a former police chief. And with that, we can recess into closed session.
And just before we go into closed session, I would like to acknowledge we have our city clerk here. I know last week we did make an announcement about an emergency medical procedure that you went under, and it's great to see you here. We were praying for you, and we were sending positive vibes and energy. So just great to see you here. So I would like to acknowledge that we have our city clerk here. Thank you. All right, at that we'll go into closed session. It is 6:01. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to, we're back from closed session. It is 7:16, and I'll have our city attorney provide a report on the closed session items.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. The record should reflect that the City Council, with all 5 members being present, recessed into closed session to discuss the 5 items that are listed on the agenda. And the following is my report. Actually, on all 5 matters, they were all discussed. There was no final action taken on any of the matters that requires reporting in open session at this time. So closed session is concluded. That is my report. It's appropriate to continue with the open portion of the meeting.
Okay, thank you for the report. At this time, we'll move on to the invocation and the pledge. If I can please have our Deputy City Clerk do the invocation, and I'll have our City Treasurer do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can all please rise.
We are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. Amen.
Okay, we'll move on to any corrections to the agenda.
Hi, Mayor, council members. There aren't any corrections to the agenda. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our ceremonial presentations. First, we'll do the Montebello Grade Separation Project by the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments. If you can please come up.
Good evening, Mayor Melendez and members of the City Council. My name is Carrie Inseong. I'm a senior project manager with the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, and thank you so much for letting us come tonight to give you an update on the construction of our project. So this is just a reminder slide to let you all know that the project actually has 4 elements to it. There is a grade separation, which is an underpass that's denoted on the exhibit in front of you. That's denoted by the green circle. And then the other components to the project are safety improvements that we're installing to the at-grade crossings at Vale Avenue, Maple Avenue, and Greenwood Avenue. Those are denoted by the orange and blue circles on the exhibit. So since my last update to the council, we've been busy with a lot of major milestones to the construction of the project. One of the milestones that we achieved was the relocation of SCE, Southern California Edison facilities. This was a lot of conduit work, pole removals, vault relocations. What you see there is a crane that's lowering a new vault into the ground right outside our construction trailer on Olympic. The next slide shows the ongoing work at the Greenwood and Maple Avenue crossings. So what you see on the left-hand picture is a picture of new track panels that are being installed by Union Pacific Railroad. And then what you see on the upper right picture is a picture of an underdrain that's being constructed under the railroad tracks. So there's a lot of coordination at these 3 crossings with our contractor and with Union Pacific, because some of the work, or actually a lot of the work, is not being done by our contractor. It's being done by UP, our R4 systems themselves. Another major milestone that we achieved since the last time I came before your council was the construction of what we call shoe fly tracks. Shoe fly tracks are temporary tracks that we install. What you see there in the light gray, the light gray ballast and the tracks, that's the shoe fly tracks. So those are the temporary tracks that are being installed, and that will allow us to demolish the existing tracks, which is the darker tracks, while we build up the new Union Pacific Railroad bridge. This is a picture of the new shoe fly tracks that are in use by the freight trains and Metrolink trains that you can see on the left side of the picture. This is looking east. Those are the old tracks that have since been removed. So we're going to start construction of the bridge on the north side of the tracks here in a few months. What we have upcoming is prep work for the Union Pacific Bridge. What you see there, that's a pile driving machine that's installing steel piles to temporarily shore up the soil while we build up the new bridge. We're also going to be closing Olympic Boulevard in both directions. That would be for the construction of the Olympic Boulevard Bridge. We're also going to continue working on the Greenwood, Maple, and Vale crossings. We're going to complete the cutovers of the Southern California Edison lines, as well as Montebello Land and Water Company lines. And then we'll also be doing some prep work for the Olympic Bridge and the retaining walls, the construction for that bridge and the retaining walls. And I did want to add, this is my last slide, but I did want to add that we've been, as always, working with members of the community on any complaints that they have. Like, for example, recently we had complaints about dust. So we worked with our contractor to make sure that they had a second water truck available until the rainy season, second water truck available to just make sure that we're not kicking up too much dust for the residents. We've also been working with the local businesses to put up business support signs, and just fielding resident complaints whenever we get them. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any comments and questions. I'm also here with Maria Cano, who's our community liaison.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for coming down to here to tell us a little bit more about the status of the project. I'll look to see if any of my colleagues have any questions, comments. Councilman Peralta, and then Councilman Romero after that.
Okay. Thank you so much for the presentation. I just do have a couple questions just for my own personal education for the closing of Olympic Boulevard in both directions. Is that going to be is that closure going to be for the totality of the remaining construction timeline?
The short answer is no. That we're only going to close Olympic Boulevard in both directions as we build that bridge. So I believe we have that tapped for about 20 months, about 20-month closure, but I can't remember exactly the amount of months.
Councilmember, if I may add on that item, I do want to thank the San Gabriel COG team on this item and their overall partnership, their willingness to work with the city and residents to address their concerns. But on this particular item, they did take the step of working with our staff, following our process, and this is an item that actually went to the Traffic Commission. It was approved by the Traffic Commission, but like everything else, we try to minimize impacts, but this is one of those that the long return is a positive one, because these changes that were approved by the Traffic Commission will also result in the construction period reduced by a 6-month period.
Yes.
So that's a positive thing for the city.
Understood. Thank you. On a side note, just for the city's end, I know that we are working towards the Olympic Boulevard feasibility study for the redevelopment of that corridor. So on side note, it would be nice to see how that aligns then with this closure and then the project when when it does end. And then lastly, if there is an update in terms of just the completion of the project.
Yes, so we have that pegged right now for December of 2028.
And that is specifically for the underpass in itself, correct?
The underpass, and then the underpass, the at-grade crossings,
Yeah.
those will be completed by May of 2026. But the underpass itself, we have 11 retaining walls to build. We have the 2 bridges that we also have to build. We have over 700 piles that need to be drilled, so that is quite a task.
Yeah. Definitely understand. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Romero, did you have a question, comment?
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that presentation. I had a concern from a number of residents about the lighting on Montebello Way. Is there something that we can do to get some more lighting for the residents who are located in that area?
Yes, I believe that may be the area where one of our portable lights was stolen. We had, the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments had procured, I can't remember, 2 or 3 of the portable lights. When we first closed down Montebello Boulevard, those were, we placed those around the area for because of the darkness, and one of them was stolen. I want to say a couple of months ago, and I believe it was at that area. But we can definitely, or I will bring up your concern to my boss and make sure that we address that.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, I really did appreciate the slideshow, and I'm sure some of the residents who weren't able to attend this evening would like to see it as well. Is it available to access?
I'm sure we can make it available on our website. Well, we can work on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions, comments? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, so I think you addressed one of them, which was just a timeline of what is in the future. So we're going till 2028, right?
Yes.
You said December of 2028.
Yes.
So for the community component, are you going back out to the community to check in what's working, what's not working, what the input is, what the communication? Can you talk a little bit about that component?
Yeah, Maria is our community liaison, and she and I have actually just did a presentation to the Chamber of Commerce, the Montebello Chamber of Commerce. That was in July, I believe, to give them, Rotary, to give them an update on the construction progress. We have a program that we're going to try and implement with the Montebello Unified School District, particularly with the ATC, on an educational component related to engineering and construction, because that's what we do, and that's the project that we're building. I believe we have a couple. Maria's already been in touch with the school district for that, and then just as the complaints come up, like I said, we field those as quickly as we can. For example, there was a water shutoff. There was a 3-day water shutoff for 8 hours each day. I can't remember what month that was, but that was like in May or June. We provided bottles of water to all of the affected addresses. So, I'm sorry? Porta potties. And the porta potties as well. So we're trying to, like I said, address the comments as they come in.
Would you be open to having a community meeting in that, like a neighborhood community meeting in that neighborhood to provide updates to the community and just hear what some of the issues or concerns are, if any?
Yeah, we'd welcome that. I just want to make sure that the community understands at this point in the project, we cannot take any more changes to the project. The project is designed, it's been bid out and contracted out. So the purpose of this meeting will be to give them an update on the construction and then address any questions or complaints they might have.
Yep, that'll work.
Okay. Just wanted to thank you for your presentation. Thank you for the community engagement and working with our staff. And I know there's many challenges that arise from this, so we appreciate you always updating us on this. So thank you both.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item number 7, Montebello Ashia Sister City students presentation. Mr. Andy, mic is yours.
Good evening. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Andy Amamoto, and I am the Vice President of MOSCA, otherwise known as Montebello Ashia Sister City Association. I have with me our host ambassadors for 2025, as well as our traveling student ambassadors that did go to Ashia. We're welcoming them back a little belatedly. We weren't able to have a meeting during the time when the Ashia students were here, so that's unfortunate. We love to be able to bring them out and introduce them to everyone. First of all, I want to thank City Council. I know all the managers, department heads, and all the sports staff that always go above and beyond when it has to do with our organization. So I want to give our appreciation there. I also want to personally thank Mayor Salvador Melendez and Mayor Pro Tem Georgina Tamayo, who personally visited us when the ambassadors were here, and we really appreciated that. Always a warm greeting, Scarlett. I know, we see each other at the street fair and whatnot. It's always lovely that we're able to spend time with you all and show them off, is essentially what we're doing here. So I'll start by introducing, and to the audience as well, Mia Espinoza and Maximus Almeida. And then our 2 ambassadors who did go to Japan, Andrew Franco and Anthony Ramirez. So as you can see up on the screen, we do have a presentation which Andrew and Anthony are going to give to you now. Essentially, I'll let them introduce it, but it's a nice little slideshow, and it kind of gives you an idea of what their experience was in Japan, as well as some of the shots. And I know some of you may have been on the photo album, so you've seen all the good fun that they had in Montebello and LA in general.
Thank you for coming. My name is Andrew Franco.
My name is Anthony Ramirez.
We were invited to go to Japan for 3 weeks, and we had an absolutely fantastic time there. Everybody was incredibly kind to us, hospitable to us. We got to enjoy a lot of delicious food. We got to see a bunch of amazing sights, so we'd like to share that with you.
Yeah, and adding on to that, I was also fascinated by the culture and the traditions. And right now, I'm studying Japanese, so hopefully someday I can go to study abroad in Japan. So that is one of my goals. So thank you. So as for the slides, so you want to go first?
This was day 1, where we had been introduced to Ashia. As you can see, they brought out absolutely everybody to welcome us and made us our own custom banners, which was very nice.
And then this was the farewell party, which we got to meet many, many people. We got to meet the mayor of Ashia. He's on the bottom right. He's the youngest looking there, the one with the white shirt. And then we also got to meet the council for Ashia. This day, I went to Osaka Expo, which was very fun. I got to see many pavilions from all around the world, and it was a lot of fun. And I know Andrew did his stuff as well. You want to share?
We went golfing.
And then this day, I also went to many places. In the night, there was a festival, which was I don't remember what it was for, but I think Tamaki's dad, who was the other student ambassador, he was the one organizing it, and it was a lot of fun. This was the day that we hanged out with the host ambassadors. So here we have two, but in Asia, it's more popular, this program. So there were 12 host ambassadors. And from our experience, we can say that the host ambassadors really play a crucial role in our stay over there because we get to spend time with teenagers who are around our age. And it's just really fun. You know, it adds more to the culture and the tradition in Japan. And also, we had a tea ceremony. So, yeah.
On this day, we got to go sightseeing. We got to see some very nice looking architecture, as well as seeing the Ashia from a high up angle. And we also got to watch a Japanese performance, which was very cool.
It was called the No Experience. So, yes.
This was the last day of our week one host family. We got to say goodbye, and we were introduced to our second week family.
And this was the day when Sayu and Tamaki went to America.
This on the second week when we were with our new family, we got taken out to a special festival going on. We weren't a part of it directly, but we got to walk around, enjoy it, eat food there. It was very nice. On this day, we went to Hiroshima to visit the museum and see the actual place where everything had occurred. This was a very emotional and special part of the trip, probably the most memorable aspect of Japan for me. We got to even talk to one of the few survivors from Hiroshima, yes.
This day was the firework festival. It's an annual festival in Asia, and it was a lot of fun hanging out with the host ambassadors. And also, these yukatas were gifted to us by our host families. So both of these yukatas were gifts from our host families. So we're very appreciative to them.
On this day, we got to do Japanese calligraphy as well as view some Hawaiian performances. On this day, we also got to visit some elementary students. We showed them some of our talents. We got to interact with them, which was very special because surprisingly, they understood English more or less, and we were able to actually talk with them, which we didn't think we'd be able to do.
And then this day, we went to Nara Private High School, I'm pretty sure. And it was very amazing seeing all these people in their extracurricular activities. Like on the top right is the Kendo club. Bottom right was the rugby team. And then the bottom left was another school where we got to see a jazz band performed by teenagers. And that was a lot of fun.
On this day, we had said goodbye to our second host family and went to our third and final. And we went to Universal Studios Japan. We explored the Nintendo world. We had also gone to the Pokemon Center. And we had seen we went on 2 rides because of the lines.
Wow.
This day we were preparing for our speeches for our farewell party. And this is where more my love for Japanese grew. And then on the right is Andrew's dog.
I drew the dog because we got a little bored. On this day, we went to see a middle school. We got to talk with all the kids, get to know all of them, get to explore their classrooms and see what the schedule would be like. And I also got to meet a hamster, which was very nice.
This day was really fun because we went to a city called Nara. And in this city, there's deers roaming around just casually in the city. So it was like a culture shock because you wouldn't expect just deer walking amongst us. And we could buy food to feed them. And so we both did, and they were chasing us. And yeah, it was fun. On this day, we went different places. I went to Kyoto, and there's 2 pictures. And I was also rowing the boat, and that was a lot of fun.
I went camping with my family, which was a fun time. On this day, we went to another school. I believe this was a high school. We got to perform more calligraphy, watch some special shows put on by the students, and even held our own kyoto sticks and practiced kendo sticks, yes, and watched a movie.
And finally, this was our farewell party where we both, well, I think I cried a little bit more, but we both cried. But it was a lot of fun. We did something called a Soran dance, and overall, just the bottom was the picture of all of us. And it was very emotional that day, just saying bye to these people who are like families to us now. So definitely a big impact on our lives.
This was the final day of Japan. We had one last meal. We had said goodbye to everybody in the airport, and we had set off for America. Once we got back home, we had gone out to, well, depends on who. For me, we went to go play golf. And yeah, you did join us. And then after that, we visited my favorite restaurant, Dave's Hot Chicken, which spiced out tamaki, and then we go to bed.
And then the next day, we went to Hollywood. So as you can see, we have 2 new Hollywood stars, Sayu Furukawa and Tamaki Konishi. So that was really fun. Oh, and this was also the ice cream hangout, which we got to see the mayor and the mayor pro tem.
This was the day we went to Six Flags, which was very fun. We all went on every ride pretty much because there was no lines for some reason. So it was a great time.
And then Sayu didn't attend because she was scared of roller coasters. So yeah.
This was the Dodger game. So we had gotten invited, and Tamaki got to watch one of his favorite player, Otani, score a home run, which is a memory he's definitely going to hold on to forever.
And also, I would like to mention this is the Sayonara party, which is a very important part of the program because we just get to meet up with a lot of people who want to see both us and the Japanese ambassadors. And also, I have a band which also played for that day, and it was a lot of fun.
This was when we went to the parade. We had gone in the car and waved to all the people around. And then we went to the Santa Monica Pier. As you can see, me and Tamaki got in the water at 11. It was very, very, very cold. Then we went to Disneyland. We had visited both Disneyland and California Adventure. We bought some souvenirs. Tamaki had a great time. My mom got really scared. It was overall a good experience.
And then finally, we're both from Montebello High School, so they visited our high school, and they had a lot of fun. They really enjoyed it. They got interviewed. And finally, we had a dinner at BJ's with a lot of members of the organization, and it was a lot of fun saying goodbye to Sayu and Tamaki.
This was our final day with everybody. We had said our goodbyes, shed our tears, and we watched them all head off. And to this day, we still manage to keep in contact every now and then with Tamaki and Sayu.
And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
So I just want to close it off. There's a couple pieces here that I want to clarify. The kendo is the Japanese martial art that is basically training to use, it's like a sword, but it's a bamboo stick. So that was a stick that they were talking about. I think both of you tried it, right? It's like, so it's kind of like fencing. You do?
I own one at home.
Good. So anyways, that the motions and everything are just like using a samurai sword. I know I've been to Japan a few times. Hiroshima is as impactful as you can imagine. They're fortunate they were able to also ride on the bullet train, which is amazing in itself. It's like being in a train that's like an airplane. So it's very, very high tech. But thank you guys. We're very proud of them. They did a great job. And everyone really misses Sayu and Tamaki. So thank you all.
Thank you again for sharing your experience. What a summer. I mean, I think you both traveled all over Japan because all the pictures. So again, thank you for making us proud over there. I do want to see if any of my colleagues have any comments. Mayor Pro Tem, I know you're our representative for the, so I don't know if you have any comments.
No, just on behalf of the City Council, it's great to be part of this program. I know you're going on 65 years, so it's a tradition of every year having the Ashia students come here, visit us. So, again, we want to make this a home to them. And thank you for opening up those doors to have this partnership. And congratulations on your trip to Japan, and also the host students for holding down the fort here in Montebello. But Montebello is very proud of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you. Again, just want to thank you all, and just an amazing organization, and thank all the volunteers and everybody who's put in the time and energy. I know there's a lot of commitment to all of this, to the host ambassadors as well for guiding the students that came from Ashia. So again, big thanks to everybody, and that's part of this organization. We have a lot of residents too that participate, and it's always a great time of year. So again, congratulations. Okay, we'll move on to our public comments on non-agenda items. City Attorney.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Anyone who wishes to address the city council on non-agenda items would have an opportunity to speak at this time, and provided you have turned in a card to the city clerk's table. With that, do we have cards? How many do we have? 8. Okay. This portion of the agenda is for 30 minutes. The record should reflect that it is now 12 minutes to 8. So it's 7:48, and we will start with the first card.
Our first speaker is Ray Brogier, followed by Rosa Tamayo.
Hello, Mr. Glassman. Been a while. Mr. Mayor, City Council, I'm here to talk about the train stoppage with the Union Pacific Railroad. It is really just getting worse and worse and worse. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 examples right now. On August 15th, the train stopped for 1.5 to 2 hours. On the 16th, 9:30 a.m. till 2:30 p.m. a train stopped. Didn't move, blocking all 3. Every time I'm talking about these, they're blocking all 3 crossings, Vale, Maple, and Greenwood. So on the 16th, we had from 9:30 to 2:30. The railroad claimed it was a equipment breakdown. Maybe yeah, maybe no. That same day, 3:15 to 4 p.m., train stoppage. On the 22nd, a train stopped 7:45 a.m. for about an hour to an hour and a half. Last Saturday, a train stopped around 7 or so, 7:15. Back and forth stop. About 8:15, it finally started moving. These are ones that were going eastbound. So when that one started moving about 8:15, after it had already been stopped for a half hour, 45 minutes, whatever. Then it stopped again. It doesn't make sense. When you go back to, we'll go back to the 16th, when there was a train, no, we'll go back to the first one on the 15th, when that one stopped for an hour and a half, roughly. It ended up backing up into the yard. That thing was coming out of the yard, stopped for an hour and a half, backed up. In the meantime, while it stopped, trains are passing on the other side of it going eastbound. And you go, okay, what are they playing? Musical chairs down there? Montebello's the one that's suffering. When that train stops, everybody on the south side of that tracks, and I got a business there, and it really affects my business big time. You get somebody there, if I needed really bad emergency services, medical, whatever, fire, police, and you come down, it's stopped, or let's say they come down Maple Avenue from the police department, and the train's crossing, but they get, they stop, and other cars come up behind them, and everybody stop, and the train's moving, and then all of a sudden the train stops, and then what? You got to go down to either Bluff Road, or you got to go down to Garfield. Minutes count. Somebody could die in that time. Just to me, the south part of town just gets shut off completely. The railroad doesn't care. They blame it on vandalism.
Thank
They
you.
blame it on cut lines on the
thank you for-
train. Baloney.
Thank you for your comment.
They're screwing us up.
All right, if I can please, thank you for your
Will the
comments.
city ever do anything about
Yes,
it?
we'll discuss that with our city manager, and we'll get back to you, Mr. Borguer. If we can please have the next speaker.
Our next speaker is Rosa Tamayo, followed by Delia Delgado.
Buenas noches, Mayor Salvador Meléndez, miembros del concilio. Yo soy Rosa Tamayo y la mera verdad es un problema muy grande que tenemos en el sur de Montebello y la emergencia para los residentes del sur de Montebello por cualquier tragedia. Por favor, estén alertas porque el tren sí se está parando mucho tiempo y perjudica a los habitantes en una tragedia, a cualquier incendio o lo que sea. Ok, yo también les quiero decir que me fijé el meeting pasado que señor Arnold Álvarez le llamó al chief de una manera muy inapropiada. No está bien porque él debería de haber caminado hasta él y decirle a él que lo necesitaba, no de la manera que lo hizo. Ustedes son una organización que representan el gobierno y no deben de tener esa conducta inapropiada de ninguno de ustedes, porque están enseñando los comportamientos que no deben de existir, porque en el rango de esta persona, del chief o cualquier otro oficial, no debe de existir esas señales de, así, no, para nada. Yo tengo mucho respeto para los oficiales por razones obvias. Y por favor, deténganse cuando y máxime si se creen que tienen mucho derecho por ser abogados o lo que sea, no es permitido. Nos fijamos siempre cómo se tratan. El otro problema es que el ADA, por favor, en el Parque de los Perros no se puede entrar una silla de ruedas. El ADA no se está implementando en los negocios. No podemos implementarlos nosotros. Primero tienen que ser ustedes, pero si nosotros los implementamos, ustedes van a tener problemas.
Gracias por su comentario. If we can please have the next
gracias.
speaker. Gracias.
The next speaker is Delia Delgado, followed by Elena Espinosa.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, and residents. Today I have some comments and some compliments. I wanted to bring attention to the median landscaping on Montebello Boulevard going north and south from Lincoln to Paramount Boulevard. I understand that it is contracted out, but it is poorly maintained with exposed dirt, patches, dried out plants. Some of the trees are leaning and not supported. This median going all the way down needs immediate attention. I saw item 14. I don't know if they're the same people that are contracted for this. And not just the median going in Montebello Boulevard, but our other streets also need attention on the median. The better landscaping doesn't have to be elaborate, just better landscaping. Next, I wanted to compliment the dog park. I think it is very nice and centrally situated
at Acuna Park. It does not rest against any walls or properties, and it is kept clean. I know the trees are going to be growing and there'll be more shade, but any pet owner I know would not take their pets out in extreme weather. Just saying. There should be no burns or blisters to any paws or to any human feet, as posed by a resident before. It is a very nice park, and I think a lot of dogs are enjoying the time there. Yeah, people break rules, but that's expected everywhere. But nice job on keeping it up as well. Compliments to the city's maintenance and park staff for that and for keeping our parks amazingly beautiful. The green grass, the clean parks, your hard work is not gone unnoticed by many. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. If we can please have the next speaker.
Our next speaker is Elena Espinosa, followed by Raul Hurtado.
Good afternoon, Mayor Melendez, City Council, and staff. I am Elena Espinosa, a Montebello resident and Director of Projects for Montebello Youth Leadership Club. I am also a proud member of Community Alliance for Healthy Outdoor Spaces, CAHOS for short. CAHOS has been doing a fantastic job in educating the community about the importance of having healthy and cleaner outdoor spaces. For example, they have been holding family cleanups, days where we go to public spaces within our cities and clean up the trash and collect tobacco-related trash into jars like these, showing the signs that in some areas where we assume to be smoke-free areas are actually not really smoke-free. They have also introduced me and many others to new terms. For example, third-hand smoke. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of what that is. When I learned about it, I was surprised, which is pretty much when tar gets stuck on walls or clothes, and it stays there and can still affect people minutes after someone had just smoked there. And the biggest concern for me was when I was surprised to hear that Montebello had an F, according to the tobacco control grade for smoke-free outdoor air. As our slogan that I often see around Montebello, we are Montebello, and we have an F. Let's work together with CAHOS and change that F into a better grade. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight. We need to put some work in. So if you happen to see them trying to reach out to you, such as via email or in person, please lend them an ear and listen to them. Thank you, CAHOS, for not only helping us identify the problems, but also offering us solutions. Let's be the Montebello that not only listens, but also acts. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. If we can please have the next speaker.
Our next speaker is Raul Hurtado, followed by Tina Gregorian.
Lost my glasses. Oh, here they are. I'm going to make it short because I'm really not prepared. But I'm sure that a lot of you have heard of Warren Buffett, CEO for Berkshire Hathaway. Very smart man in the stock market. Always gives good advice and everything, and a lot of followers. I personally follow him too. He recently said that when you're going to hire somebody, you should look for integrity, intelligence, and energy. If they don't have integrity, throw the other two out, not to be hired. I just want to make it clear that I'm coming back to prove that there was no integrity when he was hired and when the police chief was hired. I think all the residents of Montebello should know how they got their jobs. I think that the employees of Montebello should know how they got their jobs. And most of all, I think the police department needs to know how he got that job. We all know when he wasn't selected, he went out with a crushed ego and was off for a long time. And I would really like to ask the city manager if he could pull up all the records on him, how many times he's gone off for so long. But the city manager will say, that's a personnel problem, I can't reveal it, like he hides behind everything else. I know a lot of stuff that he has thrown under the rug to cover up. And I'm going to be revealing all this stuff because I think the residents need to know. And I know that you figure, oh, it's gone, it's done. Well, when I bite, I don't let go. I'm going to keep bringing it up and bringing it up. When I finish in English, I think I'll ask for a translator and start in Spanish. Since he likes to spend money on translators, I'm going to help him along. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. If we can please have the next speaker.
Our next speaker is Tina Gregorian, followed by Linda Nicholas.
Sheila Gregorian, Montebello resident for many years. I would like to once again request that our Chief Espinosa is returned to our city. You have just gotten rid of people in our city like our city manager, Espinosa. I mean, what is this? Instead of getting better, our city is getting worse. So we'll see what this election will show for our city. But I think we really need to, Chief Espinosa was a very good chief. And we, as residents of our community, would like to have him back. And Rene Bombabea, I'd love to have him back, but I hear he's very happy in Santa Fe Springs. They treat him well and they love him. So we lost, it was our loss and their gain. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. If we can please have the next speaker.
Our next speaker is Linda Nicholas, followed by Margie Duarte.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Melendez, staff, and community. I rise tonight to address the shameful disrespect shown to Chief Lopez at our last council meeting when our city attorney, Arnold Glassman, left the closed session room and snapped his fingers to summons the chief. It was not just unprofessional, it was disrespectful. The public saw it. More importantly, your officers saw it. Your department witnessed that disrespect. No former chief, Espinosa or Keller, would have ever tolerated that treatment. Chief Lopez, you must command respect, and it starts with how this city's leadership treats you. Mr. Glassman, you owe this community and Chief Lopez a public apology. Mr. Glassman, I once respected your work. I personally thanked you when you saved the city of Montebello $18 million against HUD. But something changed. The reputation you built has been lost. Your law firm is now seen as toxic. You tell council members they need to count to 3, yet you broke the law yourself in the quorum when the vote you approve only had 2 council members. Now we see troubling conduct in the city of Huntington Park and the Montebello Unified School District, again, violating the quorum law, the law of 3. Did you really think working families couldn't fight back? Mr. Glassman, you will be held accountable. Now we learn you refuse to speak directly to our mayor. Who do you think you are? You work for us, the residents of the city of Montebello. You are paid with our tax dollars. In fact, your contract has made you a millionaire. You make an average of $1.6 million a year from this modest community. The least you can do is show our mayor the respect he deserves. You could have retired with dignity. Instead, you chose a different path. Now accountability will follow you. And the California Attorney General will have the final word. And let me leave you with this note and this reminder, Arnold, you are not above the law.
Thank you for your comment. If we can please have the next speaker.
Our last speaker is Margie Duarte.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Melendez and Montebello community. As a retired sheriff deputy, I wanted to bring to the dais this evening the embarrassment that I witnessed at the last council meeting during the closed session. I observed Arnold Glassman step out of the closed meeting, snap his finger, point to you, Chief Lopez, and you ran like a puppet across into the closed session. I was mortified to see the chief of this refined police department, and I don't understand how a civilian can snap their finger and demand the chief to jump, snap, and pop to a lowly civilian. Now I understand why your police officers do not respect you, and the community wants Chief Espinoza back. You are a fiasco, a failure with a sordid history. You are spineless, and all the residents can see that you are bought and paid for by the drug dealer's wife. She's the one that got you appointed. How much money are you getting? You're supposed to have command presence. That's what they teach us in the academy. Wearing that badge and holding the title of chief, look at me. Holding the title of chief, you need to grow a pair and get your head out of her ass.
Does that conclude all of our speakers? Okay. All right. At this moment, we'll move on to staff communication on items of community interest.
Yes, Mayor, council members, a few items that we want to update the community about. I wanted to update on a couple of eventful visits that we had to our Operation Stay Home, for otherwise known as our tiny homes community. Recently, we had 2 visits from Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez. We hosted and we gave him a tour. The tour was given by myself, Angelica Palmeros, the fire chief, our NCAT team. Additionally, we also hosted yesterday Sarah Mahin, who's the new director of LA County Homeless Services. These tours were purposely organized for us to kind of educate them about these our tiny homes communities, the MCAM program, all the great services that we provide as part of our homeless strategy. As many of you know, these have been very effective tools, but primarily funded by state and county funding. So as we strive to continue this service, we are going to be asking our state and our county for once again for funding. So these were really good tours. I think they were really impressed, and hopefully we come back in the future reporting that we got some more money back. Additionally, I want to have Cesar Roldan. He's going to talk about our rain barrel program that's coming up. Cesar?
Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. So in partnership with the Central Basin Municipal Water District and the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, we are offering the residents the opportunity to receive free rain barrels as part of our water conservation efforts. So the way that the rain barrels work is you put them next to your rain gutters downspouts. They have certain connections where the water collects. And then you can use this during dry weather to water your plants. It's also an opportunity from a stormwater perspective to collect a lot of the contaminants that are located on your roofs. There are additional pamphlets right here in the front. There's a QR code that you could utilize to sign up for this registration. We're giving approximately a little bit over 300 rain barrels. They're being distributed evenly among the districts. So districts 1 through 3, we're going to be having them at City Hall, Montebello City Park, District 4, Chet Holyfield Park, District 5. And this event's going to be taking place on Saturday, September 20th from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. or until the rain barrels are all given away. But please register in advance. You do have to register. There are certain questions that they'll ask you regarding your district, whether or not you live in the community. And when you do come up to the rain barrel, staff will be identifying and you need to just provide proof of residency in the city of Montebello. Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members.
Okay, thank you for those updates. We'll move on to the public hearing portion of the agenda, and we do have item number 8, the master fee schedule update, and I believe we have a presentation by our finance director, Michael Salorza.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, City Council. So tonight we have at this public hearing our update to the city's user fee schedule. We have a representative also from Wildan, the consultant that helped with the study, here just in case there's some additional questions. So what are user fees? City charges or assesses, excuse me, several hundred different fees for different activities. Basically what we're doing is we're trying to recover the cost when we provide a private benefit with limited to no community overall benefits. So for example, when we issue an electrical permit versus providing police services, right? Somebody coming to pull an electrical permit has a very specific need for that, right? Our code dictates it. They're doing some improvements around their house or a larger development, right? So we would charge a fee that would recover the cost from that service. State law requires that the individual use of the service must be voluntary, and the fees must reasonably relate to the services provided. And fee levels and cost recovery, they're determined through a city council fee adoption. And that's what we're doing here tonight. The last time a fee schedule update was brought to council was July of 2018, so it's been 7 years. And just to put it in perspective, the various fees across our departments, Public Works, Community Development, Building and Safety, Police, $18 million towards the general fund. So about 25% of our general fund revenue is coming from our various user fees. So in front of you, why are we doing this? Why are you being asked to consider the updated fee schedule? So what happens over time is when we set fee levels, right, costs will increase and the amount that those fees are supposed to cover erodes. So what ends up happening is the general fund ends up subsidizing some of these private use fee services. So what that happens is we're using more general fund towards issuing electrical permits or doing fire inspections or these very targeted things versus community-wide events such as park maintenance or community services or police services. So, and the cost recovery, doing it the right way allows us to set the fees at an appropriate level of cost recovery, and also state requirements dictate we cannot charge more than what it costs to actually provide the service, hence why we do a study. So the study's been a long time in the process. It's been a team effort. I want to thank all of the departments involved, thank our consultants from Wildan for helping to put this all together. So there's data collection, building the fee model. Staff from every department had a chance to review and give their input on the fees, updating the fee schedules, looking at the target cost recovery, again, is close to 100%. A draft report is presented, and then here we are with the public hearing. So cost recovery study, the objectives here. Determine the full cost of providing a service. That's what the study does. We reviewed the fee schedules based on the service delivery, again, last updated in July. Identify potential new fees not currently collected. One of the benefits of this is it's kind of also an organizational review, is it comes to light where a lot of our departments are providing required services, but there's no fee. So we're essentially providing that service for free to a limited, private citizen. And then we use fully burdened rates of the staff that are involved in providing the service. So we're updating the fees based on that cost analysis and identifying appropriate fee levels that kind of promote our local policies and objectives. Again, code compliance or other municipal code compliance, and maintaining legal compliance with state law and reducing the general fund subsidy of fees. So the scope, again, every single department was involved. Again, my hat's off and thanks to every single department that participated in this. There were active participants in reviewing all the fees and providing input and working with the consultant to provide the data necessary to come up with a fee schedule. So the types of data that was used to calculate the cost recovery levels, expenditure data, primarily focused on labor, staffing structures, who does what in every department, which staff provide the actual service, central service, indirect overhead. So there's internal service departments that provide support that also has to be factored into the cost. Productive billable hours spent providing the service, time estimates, and then again, what's very important is department review for feedback and input. So cost of service calculation, again, salary and benefits, service and supply costs, indirect support costs, system and maintenance costs, all of those inputs go into what we come up with in terms of a fully burdened rate that helps us determine what the fees are. So the fee schedule includes, excuse me, the fee study the fee schedule includes all kinds of fees. There's flat fees. We actually have some actual cost depending on the number of hours that it takes to provide the service. Fees are determined by project size. Again, we're looking mostly at community development, building safety. Our recreation activities and programs, rental fees, is a completely different metric to set those fees. And then fines and penalties. Police department, for example, impounded vehicles, those kinds of fees. So the fee schedule in front of you contains all those different types of fees. So this is just kind of a quick overview of what actually the fee study does and what it looks like. So we have this in the center there, a fee or service. Let's just say it's a building permit. And it's all of the inputs, again, usually it's people, staff, and all of their inputs into providing that service. So maybe it's 15 minutes for an inspector and half an hour for a permit reviewer and 5 minutes for department director. All of that data goes in, and then we come up with a fully burdened cost, a 100% cost recovery for this example, a building permit. So again, every department had their fees reviewed. General administration, primarily city clerk. Right now, they're averaging about a 10% of cost recovery. Remember, 100% is kind of the ideal. So that's a 90% subsidy. So look at the fees. We've increased 5. 12 new fees were added. 2 fees would change to actual cost from a flat fee, and then 4 are being maintained. So at the end of the day, we're increasing that 10% cost recovery up to 68%. Fire, there was quite a bit of changes here, just a much more robust fire prevention bureau in the fire department. So the average cost recovery right now is 56%, which means 44% subsidization. Increasing some fees, adding new fees. Again, it's really important to understand that we're not adding new fees because we want to. It's because we're providing service that we can't charge for. So this is actually trying to recoup costs for services we're already providing. Police, we're about 50% of cost recovery, adding some new fees, and at the end of the day, instead of we're again reducing that subsidization of fees in the police department. Planning and code enforcement, right now we're at about 43% of cost recovery. So you'll see about 3 dozen fees being increased. 10 would actually decrease, adding new ones. And again, just a reminder that the new fees are because we're providing those services, or maybe some state law requires us to provide those services. We have to charge a fee, so we need to add it to the master fee schedule. Public Works and Engineering, again, only a 35% cost recovery currently. But again, moving in that direction to get closer to 100% cost recovery. And Parks and Recreation, again, this is different. There is absolutely a subsidy of our community service fees, our rentals. That's a good thing, right? We still want to recover some costs, but obviously we're not even anywhere near 100% cost recovery. But there is a little bit of an increase just because some costs have gone up. So again, the ideal, if in an ideal world, we would recover 100% of the cost to provide the service. That is not what's being done here, right? In certain situations, subsidization is an effective public policy tool. Again, for example, Parks and Recreation. Heavy subsidization, that's great. Extended daycare, day camps, sports programs, those are community programs. We're going to charge fees because we need to recoup some costs. But again, we're going to subsidize those, keep those very affordable for the community. But other things, permit issuance, impounded vehicles, those things, we want to get close to 100% cost recovery. And again, what's being introduced is CPI, an inflation change factor, as part of the update to the fee study to help us keep up in subsequent years with fee rates. And then ideally, 3 to 5 years, we'll do this again and review and see where we're at with our fees. Okay, so next steps. What is in front of City Council tonight? If approved, 60 days from tonight, all the new fee amounts would become effective November 1st. And then there's built-in updates, July of 26, July of 27. So the whole point of this phased implementation is it's very transparent. Everybody will know exactly the fee being charged for everything we do for the next 3 years. No surprises. And part of it also, because it's been 7 years, we obviously don't want to try and recover all of the 100% cost recovery at once. That would honestly require us tripling and quadrupling some of our fees. That's not fair to the residents. So this is a phased-in approach that gets us closer to 100% cost recovery. But at the end of the day, we'll be between 67 and 80% of cost recovery. Again, we want to be respectful for our consumers. We want to make sure that residents are very aware of the fees that we're going to be charging. This will be on the website. I'll work with the Public Affairs Office and under Director Sosnowski to make sure that people know that the new fees are out there. But again, very transparent. And again, the fees for the next 3 years will be known. And then subsequent to that, there'll be an inflation factor to increase. And so we reduce that subsidy, get closer to 100% cost recovery, but at the same time are, telegraphing to the residents that, hey, these are what we're setting our fees for the next 3 years. So, and again, there will be an increase to revenue in the general fund, but I think what's most important to focus on is a lot of services we're providing right now that we're providing for free. We're adding new fees to actually start to recoup those costs where we're providing those private benefits services to residents, where now we can actually start charging for them. So overall, it's been a good exercise, and I think it's a positive thing to be considering. So at that point, I thank you for your attention, and again, questions I can answer, and we also have the consultant. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Just before we move forward, the city attorney did have to excuse himself. He wasn't feeling well, so he's not going to be with us for the rest of the meeting. So at this time, I'll open up the public hearing. It is 8:23. So anyone wishing to speak on this item, you may address the council now.
Good evening, Delia Delgado. On this fee study, I think it's very important, and I like the fact that it'll be done every few years, because the longer the fee study is done or fees are increased, the higher the fees are, because you're catching up to the costs of materials or time or staff. So I think it's very important to do it more regularly. Back in 2018, we had a fee study while I was employed here, and some of the fees went berserk. They were way too high, and it was a real shock to a lot of the residents and or people pulling permits, contractors pulling permits. It was out of control. So if that is the case with some of the fees, if I may suggest an incremental increase to get to where you're trying to get on some of the fees. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this item?
Good evening, council, staff. I'm just curious to know, are we gonna, with all these increase in fees, which I understand we have to charge, are we bringing everything back in-house? I know we use a company in Fresno or Fremont, somewhere up north. They know nothing about Montebello. I tried to call them at one time, and it was a waste of my time. That's my question. If we're gonna bring everything back in-house now, that's fine. Let's raise the cost, but let's bring jobs back to Montebello as well with that increase. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else that would like to address the council on this item?
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. So thank you so much for this report. I understand that the fee increases are going to be incremental. That's what I was going to ask for. I think more residents just need to know there are not a lot of people here tonight to hear this fee increase. It's looking like in the police department, 22 fees are going to be increased by an average of 47%. Planning has 37 hikes, averaging at a 20% increase. Fire has a 42% increase, with 32 of them going up. Just a lot of different increases. Thank you for the phasing of it being in, but I think we should also consider maybe some low-income waivers, so that can kind of trim the burden to a lot of the residents. Yeah, please don't raise taxes. This feels like another way that we're increasing fees. I know that one of the councilwomen up there would talk a lot about the fees being increased for ambulance. This kind of feels like it's another way that it's happening, and I think more residents should know. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, at this time, I'll close the public hearing at 8:27. I do want to provide the opportunity for city staff to maybe answer some of the questions, concerns that were brought up by the public, and then we'll bring it up to the council level for discussion.
So just to address some of the comments that were made. Yes, this is going to be an incremental phased-in approach. So just to reiterate, the fees will be increased 60 days from approval, and then again, July of 26 and July of 2027. So there is a phased-in incremental approach to those fee increases. We're not bringing everything back in-house. Again, this fee study was done with looking at our current organization, our current operations, which is a combination of third-party and in-house staff, and that's how this fee study was done, was to recoup those costs as we currently operate. And in terms, I want to address the ambulance fee. That the ambulance fee is remaining; it's not increasing, and as has been in place since that fee was instituted in 2018, there are waivers for hardship cases, seniors, low income, that the fire department does, I think, almost on a daily basis, entertain. So that waiver process remains. And again, that fee is maintaining at same level. It's not being increased.
Thank you for that. At this time, we'll bring it to the council level for discussion. I'll look around to see if any of my colleagues have any questions, comments. Councilman Peralta.
Thank you for providing some context behind some of the questions. I think a lot of my questions were answered in terms of just transparency for residents, having this updated schedule with the clear fee amounts and the incremental changes in this phase approach is important. And I think I saw on your slide that this will be published on the city's website. In terms of affordability, that always comes into play, specifically for I would say parks and recs, right? Programming. I believe during the budget session, I did confirm with our director, David Sosnowski, that we do have a scholarship grant opportunity for low-income residents that can assist in subsidizing their fees when it comes to any type of parks and recs, sports, creative programming that we have. So I do just want to acknowledge that great initiative that council supported in ensuring that we do provide those affordability options through the policy considerations that then affect or get integrated within these fee schedules that we're now adopting. Let's see, any questions? I do appreciate also that the phased approach. In terms of previous years, I know in our efforts in trying to catch up with the increasing costs, oftentimes these fees can be dumped onto our residents without a phased approach that creates a sticker shock and obviously becomes a barrier in terms of affordability within services. So I think this phased approach, as some of the commenters highlighted, is something that we all appreciate. And then lastly, just a general comment here. I do want to just thank all staff that I know it was a organization-wide effort in terms of the different departments and analyzing the different costs of labor that get taken into consideration for all these types of fees to update this master fee schedule. I do want to also highlight that I am very thankful for the hardship application fee waiver that was actually added for this master fee schedule update, specifically for the emergency services pass-through fee that residents receive when an ambulance is called. This is something I've spoken about multiple times during council meetings. I think this is a step forward. We do know that this EMS pass-through fee of $581 can be a real burden, especially to our seniors and residents that suffer from illnesses and those that are really on fixed incomes. As I've mentioned before, I've heard from our community members who are generally afraid of calling 911 during medical emergencies because of the potential bill that they might face. And every time they call 911 and an ambulance is called, they get this $581 fee. Beyond the immediate cost, I think these charges can also lead to unpaid balances, which end up affecting residents' credit scores. I've had elderly residents call me crying because they can't pay for this bill. It was taken into collections. Now their credit is being affected, and at that point, there's nothing that the city can do. So having this hardship application fee waiver, I think is a great step forward. But I also do want to stress that that we can do more. And so tonight, as part of approving this master's fee schedule, I would like to offer an informational amendment. And this is to direct staff to come back to council with a report on alternative models and best practices from other cities in Los Angeles County. For example, some cities charge us a much smaller non-transportation fee, like in Burbank, it's around $235. Long Beach is at $250, Downey is at $300, and I believe Glendale's at $100 minimum. I understand that cities have to charge these types of fees to be able to cover the cost of these services. But also there are other unique models that some cities have adopted, such as membership of subscription models that offer a way to offset the burden on residents. So these are opt-in programs, citywide opt-in programs where a household or an individual resident voluntarily pays a small annual fee, somewhere between 60, 90, every city that has this program is different. In return, that family or that individual, if they ever need to call 911, the membership fee that they paid into or opted into, that program basically covers or waives the EMS assessment fee and ambulance transport copays that would normally cost hundreds and even thousands of dollars if they were to call 911 multiple times throughout the years. Specific cities that have this opt-in membership type of program is Pasadena, Burbank, and Glendale. And these types of programs protect our residents financially, but also provide the city with a stable revenue stream through these membership fees to support these types of EMS services. Some cities like Sierra Madre, they also go a little bit further in terms of offering reduced membership rates for modest income households and also scaled types of programs for businesses, because businesses also call 911 and need ambulance assistance at times. So these are models that I think are worth looking into, and so I would like to direct staff to study what would be feasible for Montebello. I understand that this opt-in type of program or even reassessing the fee is something that does require some time, does require some research. And so I would like to at least be able to have some information at a later time that staff can provide to be able to have a further discussion of what Montebello can do in terms of addressing this specific fee that I know has been a burden to many residents, especially those that are seniors and most vulnerable in our community. That does conclude my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else that has any comments or questions? Okay, just want to again echo some of the comments that were made by the public and also by my colleague. I think it's important for us to have some type of low-income senior hardship waiver for some of the fees. And I do agree too, just having some every couple of years, having a system where we update these fees so we just don't all feel it all at once. Again, want to commend the work that everybody has that it took for everybody to come here and put these fees together. With that being said, I'll entertain a motion. Councilor Peralta, it seems like you would like to incorporate an amendment to have a report from staff on alternative models. Is that something?
Yes, that's definitely something. Yeah, and just to speak on this, I mean, the ambulance fee is something that was enacted in 2018. Since then, we've relied on it to trying to reduce some costs for our fire services. It's something that's pretty integral at this point, so that's why we're not making a change to it, but we're very aware of the impact that it's having with communities. So we are looking at our internal process. It's there's several layers, right? It's really hard to unwind, but as part of that process as well, we've also already started looking at different alternative models. So yes, we're happy to come back and bring back an informational item with various options for the council to consider.
Okay, so for the purposes of the motion, we're approving everything that's here with that additional amendment to bring back some additional information on some of the alternative models. So we have a motion by Councilor Peralta. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a second by Mayor Pro Tem. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Alonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Romero?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Peralta?
Aye.
Mayor Melendez?
And I vote aye. Okay, we'll move on to regular business. Item number 9, adopt resolution number 25-71, approving the 2025 local hazard mitigation plan for the city of Montebello. And we have a presentation by Chief Pelaez.
Hello, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. So, before you is our the comprehensive report and that we had done as the oversight we had Angelica Palmeros and myself. Our LFHPM was they go for 5 years and it had been expired a year ago. So. Without that, it prohibits us from, of course, submitting for grants and things like that. So it was important that we update our plan. It was a collective effort with all department heads and all different departments. So this is what's before you. I'm going to go ahead and go down pretty straightforward. So what is the LHMP, Local Hazard Mitigation Plan? It's a FEMA-recognized plan. It is required to be updated every 5 years. It identifies natural and human-caused hazards that impact Montebello. Outlines our strategies to reduce loss of life, property damage, and disruption. It's required for eligibility for FEMA hazard mitigation grants. One of the things that we had discussed with staff as we were procuring these grants, we knew that this was coming up, so we had to engage it, and we were able to get a grant to pay for the complete cost of the plan, and so there was no cost at all to the city funds. Our goal was to create a FEMA-approved hazard mitigation plan to reduce the loss of life, property, human suffering, economic disruption, and disaster assistance cost. Let me take you a few pages here. So here we go. So, like I said, it's a 260-page plan, which includes an executive summary. It is attached to your staff report. There's an introduction, there's a background, a community profile, there's a risk assessment. It talks about our vulnerabilities, capability assessment, hazard mitigation strategies, action items, plan maintenance, appendices, and local mitigation plan review tool. So like I said, there was no cost to this plan, thanks to our assistant city manager who procured a grant for us, and it was fully covered under that grant. Previously, our last updated plan was in 2017. So the overview was, sorry. Yeah, thank you. I get talking, I forget to click. Community engagement involvement, we did some outreaches, which I really enjoyed. It was in English and Spanish. There were online surveys, advertisement in the Montebello Reporter. We sent out to over 11,500 households and businesses. Social media outreach, we posted on the city's website. And we had 2 meetings in June and July. We did get some really good turnout. The community was engaged. They did express their concerns, which we wrote them all down. The plan was submitted for KLOES review in January 2025, and a plan approved pending adoption by FEMA in July of 2025. And I will tell you this, to address the threats that were identified already in the fire department, we already started to look at those threats and prepare for them. One of them being our hazardous material training that we just finished up. We trained all our guys to be technicians, which is huge. And those were some of the threats that were identified. Also, we have currently a lot of our members enrolled in getting certified in USAR training, urban search and rescue training. Here's an overview of what the citizens, this is straight from the whiteboard, and these were their concerns. The first one being extreme heat, drought, earthquake, high wind storms, fire. High winds, storms, and fires, they go together. We just saw the storms, fire storms of the last year and the devastation that they can cause. Power outages, cyber attack, IT disruption, flooding, dam failure, terrorism, active assailant, and civil unrest, and another epidemic, pandemic. And those are right off the whiteboard, and those were the concerns that our residents had, and they shared with us. And we took those into the plan. So action item before you today is adoption of the local hazard mitigation plan by City Council. Once it's adopted, a copy of the resolution will be sent to FEMA, and then FEMA will acknowledge it, and then we can, it will go into force for the next 5 years. So we won't have to be looking at this for another 5 years. And that will make us compliant as far as when it comes to FEMA and our ability to seek out grants. That's the end of the presentation. I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Chief, for the presentation. I'll look to see if any of my colleagues have any questions, comments on this item. Councilor Peralta.
Yeah, just really want to quickly acknowledge the work that went into this. The report is extremely comprehensive in terms of really detailing the risks that we face as a city, the populations that are getting that will be impacted, and then really the policy recommendations to provide solutions. But what I really enjoyed was the actual identification of the funding sources that we could apply to begin implementing the strategies that were identified to reduce the risk within these areas that you covered, Chief. And then also just want to really uplift our assistant city manager in terms of the work that you did to ensure that we received a grant to basically cover this study. You often make a very silly and nice metaphor in which you compare yourself to a little black cloud in terms of always kind of seeing things in a different perspective for the city and identifying the risks that currently we have and in the future we can have, and really work towards kind of addressing and finding solutions. So I think that metaphor and skill set that you bring is very insightful to a lot of the work that we're doing here in terms of mitigating potential disasters. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this item? Chief, just a question. For the mitigation plan, how often are we, as a city, like, do you recommend us renewing it? And, you know, kind of, is it every 5 years, 4 years, 10 years, just based on experience?
We're talking about the plan right now? The
Yes.
local hazard, yes, it's every 5 years, Mayor, that we're obligated. After 5 years, if we don't, we are not eligible to submit any proposals or request any grants from FEMA. So that is a requirement of FEMA. We did fall out of it about a year ago, Angelica? This year?
Yeah, about a year.
A year ago. So it was kind of an urgent matter for us because in fire, we were trending really high on grants. So our grant, and a writer and Angelica had expressed to me that we were no longer going to be able to continue the trajectory we were on. So it was an urgent matter, which is why we kind of put it on steroids to get this done. But we didn't take any shortcuts. The consultant was amazing. This is what he does. He's a very reputable consultant and very pleased with his work. But to your question, Mayor, it's every 5 years. So what we want, as we approach our 4th year, we really want to get ahead of it because in this case, as it was expiring is when we were basically starting to engage the consultants. So we don't ever want to be a year without a plan.
Got it.
Just wanted to add to that if we do not have a, adopted and a current up-to-date plan, and there's a disaster, that will hinder our ability to apply for FEMA emergency funds. So this is important that we have, and that we have identified the areas of, of need.
Just again, thank you all and for the proactivity and for also the community engagement component to this. So again, thank you to the team that worked on this. At this time, it'd be appropriate to entertain a motion to approve this item.
I motion to approve.
I second.
Okay. We have first Councilor Peralta, and then we have a second by Councilmember Alonso. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Alonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Romero? Aye. Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Peralta?
Aye.
Mayor Melendez?
And I vote aye. All right, we'll move on to item number 10, which is adopt resolution number 25-73, approving the City of Montebello to become a member of the First Public Hydrogen Joint Powers Authority. And we have a presentation
by JPA CEO Jason Cotto.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Great, thank you. I'm Jason Cottle. I'm the CEO for First Public Hydrogen Authority, and just for background, what I'm doing here before you, I was a 30-year government or local government employee, finishing my career as a city manager of Lancaster, and really focused and passionate about local government energy. So today we're going to be talking about hydrogen, which we've been working with your transit director and your staff to understand how the hydrogen system works and how municipal government plays a role in that. I think what's really uniquely situated for Montebello is your own transit agency. You have a unique opportunity to partner and engage in the hydrogen industry, and it's a nascent process. So as a way of background, our mayor, the city of Lancaster, we've been very engaged in local government energy with CCA. We've partnered with Pico Rivera, neighboring city, in some of their CCA efforts. And we're engaged in the hydrogen, saying we want to become a hydrogen city, which meant transportation systems powered by hydrogen, stationary power systems powered by hydrogen. That include logistics centers, new development, resilience centers, fire departments, backup systems, engaging hydrogen as part of the economy, as well as part of a local revenue opportunity as well. Went out to the marketplace and realized the hydrogen industry is pretty difficult to get into, and you're going to be facing that as your new buses come on board. As small buyers, we as cities were at a disadvantage, just a lot of the refineries and some of the large buyers of hydrogen that are traditionally in the marketplace. So our mayor said, well, let's go solve that too. And we solved it by organizing together, and we've done that with CCA, with the 8 other cities that we manage under CalChoice. And figured we could replicate this model, very similar to SCAPA, for those, some of your neighboring agencies are members of SCAPA who buy energy as municipal utilities. Kind of saw this as an opportunity to engage other cities in joining us in an opportunity to try to become hydrogen cities and engage in that industry. So we formed First Public with shared goals as municipal governments to organize ourselves together to acquire hydrogen at a scaled level that allows it to be affordable, reliable, and a resource that we control to use in our buses and use in our power generation systems. The Joint Powers Authority is traditional. I'm sure you guys are members of a Joint Powers Authority. It is under state law, we are allowed to join together as cities and like agencies that have similar powers to implement similar opportunities. It started with the City of Industry as our first member or joint member, and with the City of Lancaster. City of Fresno has joined. They are very similar to you in that they have their own transit agency. Industry and Lancaster do not have our own transit agency, but we have significant economic development opportunities with stationary power where we see ourselves fitting a little differently in the industry. And we're also working with other transit agencies, Foothill Transit, Sunlight Transit, go down the list of transit agencies that are multiple cities joining together in their transit agencies to hope that they join us as well in the aggregation of this buying effort. And this Joint Powers Authority has no legal obligation to you, right? As a city, once you become a member, it is a complete and separate entity. There is no financial obligation to join. We literally are working together as cities to see if we can't figure out opportunities. At the end of the day, when you do buy hydrogen through this process, that's your only obligation would be to pay for that hydrogen or any contracts you enter into directly. We really see this entity, and very similar to what we've done with CalChoice in the CCA space. Pico Rivera, we manage Pico Rivera's CCA efforts. You would not know that CalChoice is managing their efforts. They're kind of the nerds in the back. We would envision ourselves being that way too. This is your program that we're working collectively together, which I think is really unique as well. Advantages, obviously we reduce investment costs, right? Or investment risks, sorry, when we're all pooled together, we have greater opportunities to buy and also greater risk diversification. We optimize logistics services. We were just talking today, you guys have an RFP out for a mobile refueler. Fresno's in the need of a mobile refueler. Some of the port operators are in need of mobile refuelers. You look at some of these options where we're working collectively, we might be able to share these resources to help deliver. So there's some unique opportunities, an example that you guys are serving right now. Competitive pricing, obviously having more buying power in the market gives us competitive pricing. We're also working on the stationary power side of things. So when you look at economic development opportunities, it's not just about fueling mobility. Data centers, as you know, are a driving force now in the industry. New power is very difficult. You guys are in Edison territory. I'm sure you've heard how difficult it is to get new demand on the system, new interconnection resources. Hydrogen plays a very significant role in not only resiliency for electric generation, but also for new development and new demand. So as engaging in this process, we create opportunities for private-public partnerships in the powering of new facilities, whether that be municipal facilities or economic development facilities you may be facing. And tailored procurement, right? We're working this together, but at the same token, we all have individual needs as cities, and we represent that. And then as with LCFS, if you're familiar with that, organizing as a group gives us better opportunity to aggregate our LCFS, which is low carbon fuel standards, which is a financial incentive for you, for your entity to be dispensing. It's also much difficult to track. So if we're coordinating tracking of that effort, it can be increase some opportunities for us. Why do we do this? I think we have successes, examples of this as cities. We do it because I'm passionate about local government. I've been doing it for 30 years, and I think we have generally some better solutions than everybody else in these challenges. So we're looking to do this in partnership. And how it works, I think we've talked about this a little bit, but we kind of sit in the middle as an agency. You guys would be members of this agency, procuring from multiple sources of hydrogen and then delivering to multiple offtakes, whether it be the ports or transit or even the stationary electricity, all engaged as partners under a city framework. We're transparent, we're public, all of our documents are public, we follow the same rules that you guys do. There's no difference, we operate as a city, so I think from a public perspective, that's very important, that we are very transparent, not only in our pricing, but also shared pricing. There's no profit seeking, there's no rent seeking. It is a traditional municipal utility. We've already had some successes, I would say, so we're out there right now looking to acquire molecules. We are a statewide agency, and you can see where we have some supply that we've procured, or not procured, but in the process of identifying 10 suppliers in the marketplace, which is currently those are new suppliers and some existing suppliers. And then also looking at bundling them in regions. So we've had the LA Basin region, which you guys would be members of. So ideally, we'd be looking at the LA area resources to be shared among LA demands, right? The same would be true for the Central Valley demands, as well as NorCal demands. So as we're working with other cities in the north, Central Valley, and LA Basin is even down into the San Diego area, that we can all coordinate together to get that buying power from new production. And we partner with municipalities that's probably in our board, so just understand the leadership structure. So the board is established board. We would be operating as a standing board, so there's no board position necessarily that we don't envision ourselves having 30 members of a board. This is a technical board, it's not a political board. So we have the mayor of Lancaster, which was the founding member, as well as the vice chairman of industry. Those are the two sitting city representatives, and those, I think those phase out after 4 or 5 years, so we'd operate, other members participating in those roles. We have Bob Hertzberg, who's a former assembly member, Tanya Peacock, who's with Eco Engineers and a managing director there. So we've got some engineering background and some climate engineering specifically. Ara Vasquez, who's been engaged in the social or the advocacy from environmental advocacy perspective. We have Jack Brower. If you've been involved in industry, he's a professor at UCI and the head of the Fuel Cell Institute, bringing us, of course, the academic background, but also the understanding of some of the fuel cell technology. And then Ernesto Madrana, who's the head of the OC and LA Trades, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. So we've got a really great board representing multiple different industries and spaces. And as you become members, we would then ask your staff or a council member who want to sit, depending on how you guys handle that, to participate in advisory committees. So when we work with these other cities together, we would organize together and take those recommendations to the board for their final approval. But we're excited about what we're doing. I can tell you that, I've been doing this a long time. I see the value and the power that we have as municipal governments. I've watched over the years where we give away our resources, we give away our revenue. This is a new technology. These are new opportunities. These are new demands that are essential services to our communities. And we have an opportunity to take control of those now. So we're looking forward to that and excited and hope that you join us. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. We don't have any public speakers on this item, but I'll open it up to any of my colleagues that might have any questions or comments.
Yeah.
Councilmember Alonso.
I appreciate the presentation. This excites me tremendously as an electrical engineer, as you can imagine. I'm all for being trendsetters in terms of clean, renewable energy. And I think this is one of the reasons why California is such a great state, right? These kind of partnerships. And I'm very proud to be here, sitting here talking about this, that this is something that could potentially happen for our city. So thank you so much for bringing this to us.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else? Councilmember Peralta?
Yes, I do have some questions and then also general comments. Also very uniquely interested in this. I think this is a very great move here. But I do just want to have just a general understanding in terms of like our specific rights and responsibilities in joining this JPA. If you can just briefly outline those, if we do have any specific rights or general responsibilities.
Sure. So the way we structured this JPA, and they're all structured differently. You are joining. That does not require you to stay a member. You can opt out at any time. There is no cost to join, and there is no cost to stay a member. Then there is no legal liability. This is a separate legal entity. So your city's general fund, any finances you may have are not, you're not going to get hooked in a lawsuit or something that happens through this agency. So you're completely separated from that. The only obligation we would ask is your engagement either with you or staff, right? And that staff time, we would engage, we want this to be a collective effort. So we would ask that your staff, and I'm sure it's going to be transportation related because you've got a unique setting here with the enterprise fund and transit that gives you some flexibility. So we would engage that staff to come and participate with us. The only obligation that you would have is a contract that you as the city council would approve at some future date. So if you said, or that the city manager had the authority to approve. So if you said, we want to buy hydrogen to power our buses through this collective effort, you would have a contract before your council to approve that contract. That would be an obligation that you would make for yourselves. It would not be an obligation we could place on you. Or anything we're doing in stationary power, but that would be an obligation of yours. It's exactly similar to the way we operate CalChoice and the CCAs as well. So those CCAs they have no obligation to each other either. Okay. So if Pico Rivera buys energy, Rancho Mirage doesn't have to own that contract either. So if you have contracts, those contracts are yours and yours alone. And if Fresno has contracts, those contracts are Fresno's and Fresno's alone. So there's no intermingling of those contracts either.
Wonderful. No, I really appreciate that, and very different from other like CCA's type of structures that are a little bit more bound and cost, incurring costs and just some legal hurdles there. You did answer another question I had in terms of just any fiscal impact, and you made it very clear that there is no financial obligation now or later down the line unless there is we procure the hydrogen, and that's a separate conversation. In terms of safeguards, are there any safeguards that exist when hydrogen prices fluctuate, or if the JPA is unable to meet the supply demand?
Correct. So those are some of the challenges that are faced in the market now with the current existing markets. But what our goal is to get new supply created, right? So right now, we're at the mercy of 3 or 4 large hydrogen providers, right? So when we're very low on that totem pole when you're buying for 3 buses, and you've even low on the totem pole for other people buying buses. So we're competitive with each other too sometimes. So those challenges exist right now, and that those prices are market fluctuating. So we've got some agencies, maybe even yours when you're looking at it, where they say we can give you $14 kilogram fuel today, but we can't guarantee what it looks like tomorrow. We're talking to some transit agencies that are getting up to $60 a kilogram. So if you picture $60 a kilogram, that's 15 times the cost of a gallon of diesel. So there is no protection in that. Our goal is to build that protection in so that we can come together and go buy large scale, long-term contracts, likely green, that allow for price guarantees as well. And there's no markup or mark to market. So you don't have this, I'm buying it for $8, but tomorrow somebody's willing to buy 30, I'm gonna sell it for 30. We're a public utility, so our goal would be to contract directly with you on long-term contracts at a price that you know is gonna be that price for years. And that's really our goal.
I appreciate that. In terms of just the renewable aspect of clean energy for ZV transit, is the JPA's priority to procure specifically green renewable hydrogen, blue hydrogen? Is there a priority for the renewable, the clean aspect of the hydrogen that gets procured in terms of the manufacturers that you're working with?
So if you look at the map that I had on the locations of the suppliers, the goal is to get to 100% green, right? The process to get there might involve some blue hydrogen, some gray hydrogen, and others, right? Depending on timing, because some of the green hydrogen needs scale to go build new product. You can't find green hydrogen it's papered up green hydrogen, but you're not going to find green hydrogen in the market. We have to organize together to get projects built that are new green hydrogen. So our ultimate goal is to get large scale green hydrogen in the market. And that would be electrolytic hydrogen. That's either solar power, right, generated, biogenic feedstock. And some of the Central Valley projects we're working with are a lot of ag waste, right? So they would take ag waste and convert it to hydrogen. That is a green product. And then there's other opportunities where you can green up a product, right? So you might take a blue hydrogen that's renewable gas, and then you offset with CO2 credits from other places. And the goal for green is also a financial metric with the LCFS. So if you look at the low carbon fuel standards, those are based on the carbon intensity score of your molecule. So if your molecule is greener, that means you get more financial incentive. So that's also transacts at the price level as well.
I appreciate that. I think, with this transition to ZV transit, the priority for clean renewable energy is the one that we want to strive for, but then understanding, right, that you have to build up towards that in terms of like the demand the supply that there is for that. That does conclude my questions. I do just have general comments that I do want to provide. I do want to just voice my strong support for approving this item. Joining the first public hydrogen joint powers authority is a really big step for Montebello. This partnership does allow us to be part of a regional network that is working to bring the cost of hydrogen down, expand on the infrastructure, and also accelerate the transition to a cleaner energy system. For Montebello, we do have the 3rd largest municipal transit system in the county, and that is something we are very, very proud of. Most recently, in the efforts that we're taking with the feasibility study that was done, we realized that hydrogen was the way to go for the model in Montebello versus electrical because of the distance that we travel, the infrastructure that is needed. And so joining this type of JPA is something that I'm personally just very excited for. and do have a unique interest. Earlier this year, through just some of the work that I do, we did develop an activation plan specifically for transportation and logistics for LA County that was submitted to the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. And this specific plan outlines the strategies and tactics needed to grow investment within climate neutral initiatives, specifically in the transit oriented sector. And one of the main, I would say, barriers or key challenges that were identified was the need for stronger incentives and local manufacturing capacity for zero-emission vehicles, infrastructure, procurement of energy. So I think this type of JPA and this model really positions local cities like Montebello to be at the forefront of these types of solutions when it comes to our goals of transitioning to clean, renewable energy sources for the different transit systems that we have. And so for Montebello, what does this mean? It really means rolling out our first hydrogen-powered buses, which I know are on the way, preparing for our long-term transition through different strategies such as the development of our first hydrogen fueling system. And so this is all about sustainability, affordability, and making Montebello a regional player when it comes to clean energy and these new models that are now arising within cities to take advantage of. So that does conclude my comment. I really appreciate you being here today and walking us through this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Anybody else that would like to speak on this item? I want to thank you for the presentation. Just a few items I'd like to touch on. I like the fact that there's no cost to the JPA. I would like in the future that hopefully Montebello can be one of the board, be part of the board. I believe our state senator actually serves on there's like a hydrogen committee, Senator Archuleta. So it'd be great to, we have some friends up there for any advocacy. I also wanted to ask, is there any other city that's like in near future that might also be joining the JPA, just so for awareness for us?
So we have Fresno who's joined. We're working with you guys this today. We've got Shafter in the Central Valley is joining. Shafter has a very unique logistics centers. If you've driven through Shafter or know Shafter, they've very heavy intensity logistics centers. So they've got mobility, trucking, fueling station opportunities, as well as power station opportunities. We're working with Carson as well. And we've also got a couple transit agencies that we're talking to that are moving forward as well. So we're adding volume. We don't want to have every city, right? When we look at what we're doing, we've done very well when we use CalChoice as an example. We've got really committed cities that are smart and understand it, and that's key. We don't necessarily need every city. With cities like you who have a vision and opportunity. And so we're looking at that are uniquely spaced throughout the state that have these unique opportunities to partner. We're looking in the Coachella Valley as well, where you have the 10 who has fueling opportunities coming out of the ports heading east that have economic development opportunities as well there. So we're looking at some key located cities to join the party, so to speak.
Thank you for that. And just as a quick recap, I know you covered it in the beginning, but in understanding like hydrogen and some of the issues and limitations, like what's in regards to infrastructure, like what's kind of holding that for there to be more opportunities or just for the infrastructure to grow?
I think what we talked a little bit about it before is the opportunity, the availability of fuel and the certainty of price is what really is the difficult situation right now. The buses operate fantastically, that's no secret. The technology's there. We've got fuel cells, we've got electric grids, we've got electrical engineers who know how to operate these things, right? This is all not new technology. The challenge is the marketplace for hydrogen, and that's what we're trying to break, right? And that's what we're to create, is that if your transit people knew that they're gonna have $8, $10 a kilogram fuel for a decade, they will go buy every bus they can buy as fast as they can, right? But we don't yet. I think when we get to that point, we have that opportunity to start the deeper investment. Same thing on the stationary power side. When you look at stationary power and trying to power a building with hydrogen, same story. Where do I get my hydrogen? How can I guarantee it's going to be there? And how can I guarantee price? And if you can solve those things, now you can start powering infrastructure with hydrogen as well.
Got it. Thank you for answering that. At this time, it'd be appropriate to entertain a motion to approve this item.
I motion to approve.
We have first by Councilmember Peralta.
I second.
We have a second by Councilmember Romero. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Alonso.
Aye.
Councilmember Romero.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo.
Aye.
Councilmember Peralta.
Aye.
Mayor Melendez.
And I vote aye. We're glad to join the
Share your
JPA.
confidence. We'll work together to make some great things happen. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll move on to item number 11. Adopt resolution number 25-75, approving the pavement management system 2025-2030 final report. And we have our presentation by our Public Works Director. Floor is yours.
Once again, thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem and council members, members of the audience and staff. This is a quick presentation on our pavement management system report for the next 5 years. Vision and goals of pavement management system. So the PMS is the roadmap for formulating longer lasting pavement techniques, utilizing alternative, sustainable, and recycled materials, and focusing on cost-effective payment strategies. One of the biggest focus on the payment management is the Payment Condition Index, which is our PCI. And in terms of how we rate the streets, a lot of times we'll look at streets and, we might say that the streets are alligated or there's longitudinal or just a lot of surface cracks, potholes, and things like that. But there's an actual technique and strategy to ensuring that the streets are, we subscribe the perfect payment method to take care of them. And so items that we always focus on is distress types, payment condition roughness, payment condition structural capacity index, and payment condition skid resistance index. And the PCI is based on a 0 to 100 scale, obviously with 100 being the highest. The current citywide PCI score for all our streets, not counting alleys, is 68.1. Over the last year or so, we have paved a lot of streets locally, mostly focusing on the local roadways. So you can see that it's increased from 53.5 PCI in 2017 to 68.1. Which is considered fair at the moment. This table here demonstrates the PCI index from 0 to 100, and it breaks it down into arterial, collector, and residential. You can see a majority of the streets are, within the 60 to 74 range. This table here also demonstrates, takes into account the arterial, collector, and residential per total lane miles. So the city has 138.9 miles altogether. And then looking at the percentages and ratios, you could see that collector roads make up 36%, residential 38%, and then the rest are major arterials, which is your streets like Montebello, Beverly, and so forth. So the city utilizes federal, state, and county funds to pave roadways. LA County Metro administers both Proposition A and C funds. And as a requirement for us to receive these funds, the city has to develop a payment management system report and update it every 5 years. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you for your presentation. We don't have any speakers for this item. It's the council level for discussion. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Councilmember Romero?
Yes, I'd just like to thank you for that report. I wanted to know if you could just clarify for the residents who is part of making those decisions on what streets are approved for future repair.
Yeah, so in the main report, which is attached to the master agenda, we have classified all the local roadways and all our residential collector and arterials from 0 to 100. So what we've done is we've broken them down into each district from 0 to 100. And so what we do is we choose the 10 or worst streets in a given year, and then we provide the opportunity for city council to choose. Mostly we are focusing on mostly residential versus some of the industrial parts, just because it's going to cost a lot of money to fix some of those roadways off of Slauson and Telegraph. But we still focus on streets like Greenwood, Vale, and so forth. So the plan is engineered strategically, but it also gives the option for city council to choose which streets get paved.
Oh, thank you. Is there any way for concerned residents to possibly submit their street and that choosing just to maybe have it looked at? I know a number of residents were concerned that maybe their streets had been overlooked. Do residents have any type of say in the choosing?
Yeah, so obviously the residents in the community are able to submit. We do get requests daily, multiple times a day, for the requirements of, potholes or anything of that nature. However, once again, the data is demonstrating that certain streets do qualify based on the scale from 0 to 100. And so obviously it's contingent upon city council at that point in time if they wish to add a street as well. But a lot of times when residents are saying that their street is in bad shape, technically sometimes the street's in fair or decent shape, and there's other streets that are worse off.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, is there any way we can make this slideshow public or to have it on the city page so residents can access it and better understand how they're chosen?
Yes, council member, we are able to do that.
Thank you.
Councilor Peralta?
Yes, with that request, I think similarly, if we can publish the actual report, I think that would be great because the report is extremely comprehensive in that it lists every single street in the city of Montebello. It has an actual rating, and I think it's divvied up or designated as well by district. And so I think this is a really incredible report that that is now being produced and adopted, because if residents can see specifically where their street lies on this list and understand their score compared to other streets, I think that there is that level of transparency that folks are requesting of us when it comes down to actually choosing the lists of streets that get paved. I think this is also a great tool for us as council when we have these lists, when we have the lists of streets that residents submit to us directly, to really be able to compare where the streets lie, the scores that they get, to make these informed and sound decisions when it comes to adopting the list of streets that we do for the SB1 yearly funding. In terms of some of the questions I have, I really appreciate the fact that these streets were broken down within our districts. And I think equity is always something that we're speaking about, especially now that we've moved into districts. Based on these new ratings, how can staff ensure that all districts, and I know that one's hard, but how can we ensure that all districts, or at least try to ensure that all districts receive equitable attention, especially with those higher concentration of poor and very poor streets?
That's a great question. So, for example, District 5, right, allegedly residents come to the dais and say that their streets are in the worst shape, but if you take a look at the report, District 5 has better streets than the other 4. So, you will find certain segments of the industrial streets that are in horrible shape, But, that's at a larger cost. For example, Bluff, off of Slauson, you're going to spend between $20 and $25 million just to fix that roadway. Again, residents don't live there. It's primarily used as an industrial park for truck traffic, right? So obviously taking that into consideration, the focus is primarily on our local roadways where, it primarily benefits our residents. The use of, the engineering report is obviously, your best guide, but the decision makers obviously can make recommendations to pave other roadways. As we get closer to getting towards the 100%, which is not technically attainable, but it's a goal, right? We are trying to make sure that, all the streets are paved. And then from there, we would then work on a slurry program to maintain them. And then you wouldn't have to spend so much money on repairing roadways or paving roadways. You would just pay on the maintenance of them. And that's obviously the goal. If we reach 80%, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, if I may add, council member, you bring up a good point. I mean, equity and transparency has been something that's been very important for us. And when you're asking the process, I mean, you've seen at least 2 cycles of this, right, through our SB1 program. And Cesar did touch on this, right? The pavement management plan, it's the data-driven approach, and it's really how foundationally we should be making decisions on what streets need the most attention. So on an annual basis, and we've done this again for the last 2 cycles, we try to populate the top 10 worst streets per district. We present those to council, and we balance that with actually how much money we have. So there's a lot of factors that go into this, but I can assure you that we're not making arbitrary decisions. There's foundational data that kind of sets the path for us. And then we have an open, clear, transparent process that comes to city council. So we'll continue working towards that endeavor, making sure that everybody kind of is aware. So, and like Cesar said, yes, there's goals. So 100% is the goal, and that ball always keeps moving forward. But little by little, we hope to address some of those streets that are problematic. But then there's those streets in between, right? Which is a fair question that Councilmember Romero brought up in terms of how do you bring it up. We always welcome those conversations, right? Sometimes there's unique circumstances, and I think what Cesar just highlighted, some of these industrial roads, while they may be problematic, what larger impact do they have with the community and residents, right? So again, everything has to be balanced out with actually how much money we have, what can we afford. But again, you've seen in the last couple of years the process that we're bringing forward, which again is focused on transparency and equity, and we'll continue to move towards that.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the fact that this round of SB1 funding that we were provided with the top 10 most distressed list of streets within our districts. I think Georgina and I kind of geeked out when this report came out. We actually went back to see what we approved and where it fell within the ratings that the report ended up designating, and it very much aligned in terms of the level of distress and the actual need for us to repave the streets that were chosen. And I think you really made a really great point, Director Roldan. I also noticed too, and I was very shocked in learning based on the maps and the reporting and the different ratings, that South Montebello with District 5 actually has some of the most fairly new or just fair level of street ratings. A lot of the distressed streets were actually around the more manufacturing, heavy used outer areas. And so that is, I understand residents come forward, and that's a kind of a narrative that oftentimes gets adopted. But when you start looking at the data, you start really looking at what's getting produced and tracking the distress levels of each street. I think that paints a very drastic picture in terms of like where we're really at, where we need to go get to in terms of the investment within maybe other districts, right? That haven't received that same level of love and investment as well. Almost wrapping up here. I do have just a few more questions. Do you know when was the last pavement management system developed here for the city?
It was back in 2019.
2019. Okay. And then let's see. Lastly here, so I think one of the things that I would like to see is more so a outlook in the future of some sort of like 3-5 year plan of streets that we adopt basically, or potential streets that will be adopted to kind of see where these streets lie in the incoming years. I think that's often helpful for residents that are asking, when is my street going to be repaved? Will the system be used to inform our capital improvement budget in the, like, if we have a like 5-year plan or 3-year plan?
Yeah, so part of the report took into consideration the amount of funding that we have available. So that being said, if we're looking roughly about $3.5 million for SB1, then that number just keeps on going down. So like you just stated, the streets that you chose that happen to be at the top, that was on purpose, right? And so those numbers come down, those get down to the bottom because now they're in the hundreds, right? And so the next streets go up. And so it just keeps going up and up. And you take the next 5, 6 streets or whatever segments that you wish within the allotted funding, and that's how it gets chosen. To the point where, you know, technically you might have, for example, just figuratively speaking, like, you know, District 1 might have 100%. And then there's really no need to do anything much more than just slurry, right? So it might not be equitable, but it's going to, you know, the longevity of those streets will last another 5 to 6, 7 years without you really physically having to pave them.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I appreciate that. That does conclude my questions. I do just have some brief general comments. I appreciate the understanding that this similar pavement plan was adopted in 2019. I will say that my 5 years on council, this is really the first time that we get to be introduced to this pavement plan at this level in terms of a walkthrough and really showcasing this report and really seeing how this report is being used to inform the streets that get chosen for these yearly list of repaving projects that we do. I think that this is extremely important. I know that in the past, street repaving, you know, previously was done through an ad hoc committee, where basically 2 appointed council members would jump into a car, go out and look, and basically choose the streets that were chosen to be paved. And so when you're talking about a street repaving, equitable street repaving, you're talking about, I think you said 139 miles worth of over 1,000 streets in the city. To have that type of structure or that type of methodology is not appropriate and it's not equitable. And so I appreciate the fact that this, not only is it being developed for us to be able to receive prop funding, which I think is mandated, but it's actually being showcased to us. We're being educated on it. And you're using it as a tool to inform the list of streets that now we're receiving to make decisions when we adopt. And so moving away from that model to one that is transparent, that's fair, and that's really based on data is, I think, extremely important and something that I do want to commend you as well as our city manager in bringing this forward, because oftentimes we're the ones that get the rocks thrown at us when we choose streets and folks are like, why is my street not on this list, right? And there's no way for me to tell them because I don't have the data to showcase to them, hey, your street might not be as distressed as this street that we chose. Now we have that, right? And so having this published, having the report published, I think is extremely important. I do want to highlight that we are at a 68.1 fair designation for our streets, which I think is great. We've done a lot of improvement in these past few years, but you know, there's always going to be work that has to be done. But with that, I think that this is, I think, a proud moment for us in turning the page in terms of the methodology and the transparency that we're taking to make sure that streets that get repaved in the future is done in an equitable and just data-driven way. So, thank you.
Okay, do any of my other colleagues have any questions, comments on this item? Mayor Pro Tem?
I agree with what has been said. I think it's important to have some type of structure to to the street paving, because that is one of the issues, one of the biggest issues that, that we hear from the residents and that we face here at the city. So my question is, though, do you have that available where we can, like, do it per district and sort per PCI? Is that available to us so that we could sort the data?
Yeah, it's in the report.
But
Just as you stated, it's like that. Exactly, like exactly the way you want it. It's already separated like that. Per district, and then PCI from 0 to 100.
Oh, okay, because the table I saw there was alphabetical per street.
Correct, there's multiple tables.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's also, so in case, you're interested in just finding your street, say,
Exactly.
Beverly, then you could get to it alphabetically, but in reality, it's also, we had put together with the engineering team, the streets per district, and so you'll see from 0 to 100.
Okay, great. So you could look up your street and you can look at, in the district where it ranks, for example, within District 1, but you can also look at your street in terms of the citywide as well.
Correct,
So
yes. Correct, exactly. Okay. And also it's per street segment, it's block to block. So, a lot of times we will say, hey, this segment of Beverly is horrible from this point to this point, but then the next 3 blocks are in very good shape, right? So it's really specifically block to block.
And all that, those tables will all be up on like the website for residents to see?
Yes, we will post it on the website.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any other comments, questions? Okay, again, thank you for the presentation. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve this item.
I make a motion to approve.
We have first by Councilmember Romero,
I second.
and we have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Alonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Romero?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Peralta?
Aye.
Mayor Melendez?
And I vote aye. All right, we'll move on to item number 12. Approved submission of an application to the Household Hazardous Waste Grant Program fiscal year 25-26. Small project cycle, grant cycle 45. We have a presentation by our management analyst of Public Works, Samantha.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Today I'll be giving a presentation regarding Household Hazardous Waste Grant Program, HD 45. So a grant application was submitted to the Household Hazardous Waste Discretionary Grants 45 with the Department of Resources, Recycling, and Recovery, in other words, known as CalRecycle. This grant application was submitted yesterday, August 26, 2025. With this grant application, this city has an opportunity to receive up to $50,000 in grant funding for the implementation of a household hazardous waste program here for the city. So this program, the goals and objectives of this program is to increase the public awareness of proper household hazardous waste disposal. We also intend to promote extended producer responsibility, and essentially what this is, I can provide an example of this. So if you are a consumer and you are out purchasing batteries, for example, once the batteries have come to have extended their life term, you can call the producer who produced the batteries and you can ask them how to properly dispose of it. They'll be able to take the batteries back and they'll be responsible to properly dispose of those batteries. We will also expand safe battery collection opportunities, and this would also support community engagement, outreach through workshops and events. So some key activities for this program is through public education and outreach, which will be included in multilingual materials and also workshops. We would also partner with retailers for battery drop-off
battery drop-off programs. This would also include city facilities, so this would include locations such as City Hall, the Senior Center, and other parks and recreation facilities as well. We would also provide online and printed maps of these disposed locations, so that way the residents of City of Montebello have access of knowing where these locations are located. We would also offer temporary and mobile collection events as well. So ways that we would measure this program would be through pre and post surveys, which would measure the awareness and behavior change of participants. We would also be tracking participation through the workshops, events, and digital platforms. We would also be monitoring materials that would be collected from those programs. So materials would include batteries, lamps, and different chemicals that would be picked up. We would also be assessing retailer and partner involvement. The overall expected impact from this program would be to offer a safer disposal of hazardous household items. We would also reduce environmental risks to the City of Montebello. We would also promote stronger partnerships with local businesses, where, in other words, people will be able to go to a local retail store and they will be able to drop off their used batteries. We would also increase adoption of sustainable practices, and overall, we would be looking to see if this would implement a long-term community behavioral change. And at this time, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. We don't have any public comments for this item. I'll see if any of my colleagues have any questions or comments. Okay, seeing none, just thank you for the presentation and let's go and get that grant. With this, I'll entertain a motion to approve this item.
I motion.
We have a first by Councilmember Alonso.
I second.
We have a second by Councilmember Romero. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Alonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Romero?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Peralta?
Aye.
Mayor Melendez?
And I vote aye. Okay, that item carries. Thank you again for the presentation. At this moment, we'll move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine. Any items a member wishes to discuss, including any items the public submitted speaker cards for, should be designated at this time. All other items may be approved in a single motion. Such approval will also waive the reading of any ordinances. We do have a speaker card for item number 16.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
So at this time, we'll go ahead and poll the council to see if they have any items. I'll start off with Councilmember Alonso.
14.
Okay, Councilmember Romero.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo.
No items.
Councilmember Peralta.
None?
And I have no items. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve items number 13, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22.
I motion.
We have a first by Councilmember Alonso,
I'll second.
a second by Councilmember Peralta. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Alonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Romero?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Peralta?
Aye.
Mayor Melendez?
And I vote aye. All right, we'll move on to item number 14 that was pulled by Councilmember Alonso.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to take a quick second here to recognize the importance of this RFP because it finally brings attention to areas of our city that have been neglected, overlooked. Particularly, I'm very glad to see that the Bluff Road along the Rio Hondo shoulder area has been included in the scope of work in terms of the citywide maintenance RFP. As we know, this stretch of roadway has been the source of continuous concerns from residents, not only because of inconsistent landscaping, also because of recurring issues with trash, debris, and unfortunately illegal dumping. Over the past 8 or 9 months, I have raised this area as a priority, both publicly and directly with our city manager. Matter of fact, just a couple of weeks ago, we had a couple of cleanup events, one in partnership with the Institute for Public Strategies, who are here tonight, thank you so much, and another one just to clean up along Bluff Road with volunteers. And these volunteers saw firsthand how badly this area needs sustained maintenance. So I want to thank Mr. City Manager for hearing that advocacy and making sure that that stretch of Bluff Road is explicitly called out in its RFP. Including it here means that we are not just responding to complaints from our residents, but also we are now being proactive about long-term upkeep. And of course, at the same time, I also want to stress that while landscaping services are a critical piece, they're not going to solve everything, right? Littering and illegal dumping remain constant problems here, and those issues will require a parallel strategy, one that combines enforcement, obviously education, and community partnerships. Of course, I'll continue advocating that we treat dumping and littering as ongoing priorities so that our residents along Bluff Road and across the city can finally see the kind of clean and safe environment that we all deserve. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there any other member that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, at this time I'll entertain a motion to approve this item.
I'll motion to approve.
We have a first by Councilmember Peralta.
I second.
A second by Councilmember Alonso. If I can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Alonso.
Aye.
Councilmember Romero.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo.
Aye.
Councilmember Peralta.
Aye.
Mayor Melendez.
And I vote aye. All right, that item carries. We'll move on to item number 16. We do have a speaker for that item.
Our speaker is Linda Nicholas.
So I'm not coming up here to fluff the dog park. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, it's going to be 80 degrees. That covering, that rubber covering, is going to be 100 degrees. 100 degrees. I dare you to walk over there barefoot. The speaker might be, finding Danny for her dogs to get blisters and feel sorry for Peralta. But let me tell you something. 8 laws were broken to provide that dog park. Number 1, according to the city, LA County, you guys put a dog park within 300 feet of a child playground. That's not allowed. You don't have ADA compliance, another broken law. You want to see a nice dog park? Go online and look at Eagle Rock. 3 acres, 3 acres. Ours isn't even 1 acre, which is another violation. And it costs $600,000. Now, when our city treasurer last meeting gave us our report that we were $14.700,000 less in revenue, I wanted to figure out how this happened. Well, $700,000 was this damn dog park. $14 million is payout in lawsuits. $14 million. And there's still 3 more lawsuits coming down the pike that are going to be in the millions. You guys be very cautious in what you're doing. This dog park, nobody did their homework. Had you done your dog park homework, you would have realized that dog park should be 150 feet from the wall of his residence. It's 83 feet. Violation. Okay? We have 83 laws that were broken. I'm not going to bring them right now because we're getting together the city residents that are affected by this. Our quality of life. And I told you, Mr. City Manager, 60% of the people that are using this dog park don't live in Montebello. This morning, a woman's dog got mauled. She lives in Pico Rivera. Another one, the dog that mauled hers, lived in Monterey Park. They're not our residents. But guess who's going to have the liability if any of those residents that come to use our dog park get mauled? Montebello. They're not paying taxes here in our city. Other cities, you have to have a permit to get into the dog park as a resident. Anybody can come into our dog park, and that leaves us wide open to liability. So this dog park is going to be closed. I'm telling you right now. It should have gone to the city park location so all residents could have used it. Putting it there, number 1, it's too small. You can't have it near where children play. That's a huge violation. And handicapped people can't use it? Come on now. Any moron knows that's against the law. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. At this time, there are no other public comments, and we'll bring it up to council level for discussion. Do any of my colleagues have any comments or questions on this item? Okay, seeing none, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve this item.
I motion to approve.
I second.
We have a first by Councilmember Peralta. We have a second by Councilmember Alonso. If we can please have a roll call.
Councilmember Alonso?
Aye.
Councilmember Romero?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Peralta?
Aye.
Mayor Melendez?
And I vote aye. All right, that brings us to AB 1234, travel reports. Do any of my colleagues have anything to report? I do have something to report. I attended the Contract Cities Board Retreat, where I serve as a board member, an officer for that association, and we discussed different priority areas that we will be advocating for, both at the county level and at the state level. So it was a time for us to come together and set policies, again, that will impact us as a region. I think there's many things that happen here in the city of Montebello that sometimes are a little bit out of our control, and a lot of these are laws that come at the county level as well as from Sacramento. So this association serves as a advocacy arm for the 88 cities in LA County. With that report concluding, we don't have any council orals. So the last thing I would say is I do want to adjourn this meeting and hold a moment of silence by former mayor, council member Phil Ramos, that passed away on August 17th. If you all recall, about 3 or 4 months ago, we were actually going to have him here at City Hall to celebrate him for his birthday. He had turned 102 years old. So I would just like to read a little bit about Mr. Ramos. Mr. Ramos was born to Pedro and Maria Martinez on July 5th, 1923 in Santa Paula, California. Mr. Ramos was an excellent athlete and held the City of Los Angeles cross-country record while attending Garfield High School in 1939. He was an avid golfer, baseball player, and bowler. His favorite hobby in later years was golfing, which he enjoyed with friends, business associates, and relatives. In 1942, he married Nicole Emma Silva. From 1942 to 1945, he served as a veteran of the U.S. Army Air Corps in World War II for the Pacific Campaign. On July 4th, 1943, he became the proud father of twin sons, Philip Jr. and Joseph. On March 17th, 1950, he welcomed the daughter, Elizabeth Ramos. 1956, Mr. Ramos became a resident of Montebello. Mr. Ramos became mayor of the city of Montebello for 3 terms in 1976, 1980, and 1984. He also served as a city treasurer from 1987 to 1995 and on the planning commission from 1963 to 1971. He was recognized for his integrity and business acumen, which helped move the city forward. He served his community with outstanding accomplishments by being the first Hispanic to be nominated to the California State University Los Angeles Advisory Board, on which he served from 1963 to 1971. He was the first Hispanic elected president of the Independent Cities Association in 1979. At the same time, he advanced his professional career, becoming president of 2 Teledyne Fortune 500 companies, again as the first Hispanic to receive this distinction. Throughout his life, Mr. Ramos was a Shining Star achiever. In 2016, the City of Montebello awarded him the Shining Star Lifetime Achiever Award. Again, I would like to close in his name for all the service here in the City of Montebello and just in the region. There is a rosary happening tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. at Rischer's Mortuary. And there is a Mass for Friday, August 29th at 11 a.m., St. Benedict Church. So if I can please have a moment of silence. Okay. Again, thank you to everyone who joined us, both here in person, everybody who joined us online. Thank you to staff, to my colleagues. Meeting is adjourned at 9:50. Thank you.